Hey there, Toolaholics. Welcome to part 4 of my truck bed camper build, where I'm going to insulate the walls, insulate the ceiling, and sheet the inside of the camper. I'm going to start out here by ripping down some 1.5" styrofoam SM for the wall insulation to a width that fits between the majority of my wall studs. And then I'm going to move over onto the miter saw because it's a quick, easy way to get square cuts, and a lot quicker than cutting all the pieces with the skill saw. In an effort to produce better quality videos, I decided I'm going to go back to doing a voiceover for this one instead of the just subtitles that I'd put on to the other videos in this series. If you haven't already seen the other videos, I suggest you definitely should check them out and see how I got to the point I'm at on this build. A lot of the videos that I've seen for builds like this or similar kind of things, people have had an indoor workspace of some kind, and I just wanted to show that you really don't need all that. You can build anything, pretty much anything, anywhere. Definitely going back and forth an awful lot. When I'm walking away from the camera, I'm on the inside of the camper and fitting the pieces in between the studs so that I know that I have pieces cut for those places, and I'm also getting additional measurements for the next pieces. Here I am inside of the camper, putting in some of the pieces of SM between the studs. Maybe if I can get to 1,000 subscribers, I can monetize and be able to afford a pair of suspenders so you won't have to look at my butt crack anymore. But a different camera angle and a different day, and more of the same, ripping down pieces of SM, cutting them to size so that I can fit them inside of the walls on the inside of the camper. As always, if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or you want to tell me that I'm an idiot, or ask me how the hell I managed to be so gosh darn good looking, then leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. Now that I've finished insulating the walls, I need to add some nailers in the ceiling so that I can have something to nail the ceiling sheeting to, where the rafters don't stick out into the ceiling. I'm just using pieces of 2x2 for this. They don't have to run the full length or be all one piece or be fancy at all. They just have to be a chunk of wood that's stuck in there somehow so that you can nail a piece of sheeting to it. But with the ceiling, I decided to use fiberglass insulation, partly because it's easier and quicker, and partly because it's cheaper than the SM. So here I am, just filling the voids in the ceiling with bats of R12 fiberglass. Now that the fiberglass insulation is all in, I need a vapor barrier, the ceiling and the walls and basically everything. This part of the build involved a lot of swearing for me. It's something that really irritates me to do, but it's definitely a necessary step, so I guess I'd better get on with it. All the joints in the vapor barrier get tuck taped and everything gets all sealed up, ready for sheeting. Now that I have all the vapor barrier done, I can start sheeting the ceiling. Generally you want to sheet your ceiling first, because then the ceiling sheeting can theoretically sit on top of the wall sheeting and help hold it up. I'm using the 1/4 inch mahogany underlay, just like I used on the exterior walls, because it's cheap and light. So it's not really thick enough to hold anything up by having stuff on the walls. I'm nailing all the sheeting on with 1.25" 16 gauge brad nails, and using a nail gun that you can see a review of in my reviews section of my channel. Here I am getting the other side of the ceiling sheeted up, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but wrangling these sheets into this small space definitely involved a little bit of swearing. And I get to start sheeting some of the walls now. Generally, if you're trying to cut pieces for something, the best practice is to always plan on fucking something up. So if you know you're going to fuck something up, always cut your biggest pieces first, because the big pieces can become small pieces later. instead of moving the camera back and forth and having to do a whole bunch of work just to film me cutting and then sheeting, I skipped all the cutting parts, and I'm just showing you nailing on the pieces of sheeting. You've seen me and anyone else cut pieces of stuff before. You measure and go cut. Nothing super complicated. So you'll notice that there's some visible joints, and that I'm not being too super concerned about fitting all of the pieces together exactly perfect. That's because I'm going to add trim everywhere afterwards. So where I have seams that are flat on a wall, I've lined those up, planned them out so that I can put a flat trim over top of it and it'll look half decent. Well, I'm just about finished with the sheeting here. I've got a little bit more up ahead to do on the ceiling in the little storage space of the cab over portion. This part's a little bit trickier to measure out, but if you measure one side of the triangle and the other side of the triangle, then the diagonal part will line up for you, because you got a 90-degree corner in there somewhere. And that's about it. Stay tuned for the next part of the build, where I'll be doing the exterior trim and building the door and the windows.